You're listening to the Spunky Spirit Podcast, where intuition meets real life. Hello, welcome to the Spunky Spirit Podcast. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've recorded, and I just needed to take a little break. Podcasts are a lot of work, and I just wanted to make sure that, they were just a lot of work. And last year was kind of crazy. So here we are giving this another try. Different things, as you can see, is a different setup, all the things. So we're going to try this again. In fact, I kind of want to tell you a little bit of a story before we get into the episode. I have been kind of debating back and forth whether or not I should do the podcast. And today, after we got all the setup done, and we've changed the setup a bazillion times. And today I was like, okay, Spirit, if this is what I'm supposed to do, if I'm supposed to do the podcast, then let me know. And I had to run to Hobby Lobby to get some stuff. As you see, if you're watching, you can see the stuff behind me to decorate for the podcast. And if you're not watching, you can watch it on YouTube. But it's so, anyways, I was walking through the aisle, just grabbing some stuff, kind of not paying attention. And a lady walked up to me, really nice lady, and said, "Are you Cari Mugz?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And she said, "I just have to let you know that you have," and I'm not saying this for any egotistical stuff. This was a cool thing. She said, "You've really, really helped me through your podcast." And it wasn't through readings. It wasn't through the galleries. It was through my podcast. She specifically said her podcast and my podcast. So I knew then that this was Spirit's answer to my question. And so those of you who haven't got a reading or haven't had time to get a reading or scared to get a reading or go to one of the galleries, here's the podcast. The podcast, I just want it to help. I don't want it to hinder anybody or hurt anybody. That's all I want to do is just help people understand and know that their loved ones are always with them and that our souls are eternal and our loved ones are with us all the time. So then I decided that this was Spirit's way of telling me that this is the right thing. So this must be somewhere out helping somebody, and that makes all the difference in the world to me. So welcome to the new and improved Spunky Spirit Podcast. And this episode, I'm going to run a mini series called Echoes of Scotland, because I did go to Scotland in September, and it was a phenomenal experience. I really, really loved it. And this is going to be a mini series because I had three different experiences that I want to talk to you about. One of them was a past life experience. The other was a paranormal experience. And the other was kind of a cool fairy thing that I think will just be fun because Scotland and Ireland really believe in fairies more than they do the paranormal. And so I thought that would be an interesting take. And so this podcast, Spunky Spirit Podcast, I will be making different episodes, different mini series. So if there's something that you want to hear or something that you want to learn about, please let me know, because I think that that's why the last one, I couldn't think of what to talk about. I couldn't think of what people wanted. And I just, because it's like a math teacher that already knows all the things. I'm not saying I know all the things, but they do the problem and they don't write the steps out because they just assume people know the simple steps. And so I've got to remember that some people want to learn the simple steps. And so I will continue to do this, and we'll do mini series. And please reach out and let me know if there's something that you want to learn about or know about. So, and now I'm actually having notes with me too. So I'll be reading some of my notes because I can. Because last time I didn't think I could, but honestly, you guys know me. You know my ADHD. You know all my stuff. And you're here. So here we go. So this week we're talking about Scotland and my trip to Scotland. So I just have to ask a question. Have you ever stood somewhere and felt like your body knew it before, or you known it for somewhere before? Now, when I decided to go on this trip to Scotland, I went on a trip. I went on this trip with a company called Mysterious Adventure Tours. And the reason why I chose this trip is because one, it was Scotland, but two, I had had a really cool experience at the Phenomicon at in Vernal, Utah 2 years ago. I went to see a medium, not a medium. I went to a gallery, and I wasn't expecting anything. I just kind of wanted to see how things worked or see how things played out. And my dad actually came through in that reading, and this, this medium was kind of cool. I'd had other readings before, but she did hit some things spot on. She talked about Nellie and the health, um and she talked about having health issues, and we had just gotten done seeing my granddaughter Nellie that had heart issues. And at the end, she handed me a stone and said, "This is for you." Apparently, that's what she would do, is hand out stones at the end. And at the end, she handed me a heart stone, and I had just gotten a heart tattoo that day for to resemble Nellie, for Nellie's heart, and also too there's some other heart stuff that goes with each of the grandkids. So it was kind of a cool experience, and I just remember thinking, "Okay, this is what I do. This is how I make people feel, and so I've gotta continue to do this, and I've gotta do galleries." And so I kinda started following her, and she had posted that she's going on a trip. She's gonna be the psychic medium on this tour with the Mysterious Adventure Tours, and I was like, "Okay." If it would've been any place but Scotland or Egypt, I wouldn't have gone. I probably wouldn't have gone, but I wanted to see Scotland because I felt like I knew Scotland, or Scotland. I've just There's something about Scotland that I have always loved, that I felt like I needed to go there. So I went, and it was like coming home. It was like the most amazing experience. I can't even explain it. It was just felt like home. It just felt like home. And I remember doing a couple of Akashic record readings, and one of my friends, she was getting a reading, and she said she just felt close when she was in New Orleans. She just knew where everything was. She knew how to get to places, how to get from one place to another. She knew where all the streets were. She said, "I felt like I've been there before," which is such an indication of a past life, or having and a past life experience. And sacred land is very sacred. Land is very, very sacred. In fact, when I took, some of my paranormal classes, the teacher would say, um, you need to first look at the land. Where's the land? Because land is really sacred. And I have lots of spirits that come through during readings, and if they've built houses on their own land, it's very sacred to them. So land has a meaning. And there's just, earth is beautiful anyways, and every land is sacred. Like even Hawaii. When I went to Hawaii, it had a different spiritual about it, which I will do a podcast on that too. But there's just a spiritual different every place has a different feeling or a different vibe. And so I went, and we went to a castle called Dunatar Castle, and it's on the ocean side. It's beautiful. It's not completely, it was in its day, it was probably so amazing. It's amazing right now, but it's decomposed a lot. So there's no like real ceilings or rooms, or there's just lots of places. There are some parts of it that have ceiling, but most of it was just like old decayed castle wall. But you could see where the chapel was, you could see where the kitchen was, you could see like it was still standing. I don't know how to explain it. It just didn't have it was decomposing or decaying very. The weather has gotten to it. But there's so many castles that are beautiful in Scotland, but this one had a different experience for me. I was walking through it, and it just felt, it's quite the climb to get there, but it just felt like, I can't even explain the feeling. It just felt sacred to me. It felt like being at home itself. It felt natural. And I, would go from different places to throughout and it was like, I didn't realize this, but castles had like whole towns around them. Like, yes, the royalty lived there, but so did like some of the people who worked there, like the whole kitchen people, all the kitchen people. And then there were towns outside the castle too, but the castle grounds were full of like, they're like little towns themselves, which is really, really cool. And There was this one particular room that I went into, and half the wall was decayed. There was no ceiling, but the window was still there. The wall that held the window was still there, and I went up to the window and I looked out, and you could see the ocean, and you could see like the tides coming in. It was beautiful, and I had a glimpse of being there before. I knew that I had been sitting in that window, and then and looking out to the sea. And I also saw lots of ships coming and going, and warriors and troops, and a ceremony, and all of this, like a bridal ceremony or wedding ceremony. And I just kept playing like a movie in my head, like different things that I would see. And I noticed that this other medium that was there, Sarah, she was there, and I noticed that she was with two of her friends, and they were talking about different things. I could overhear them talking about some stuff that Sarah was also feeling. And I'm not going to share a lot of that because that's Sarah to tell. I mean, maybe one day I'll have her on the podcast and share the experience. It was really cool. But I did go up to her, and I'm like, I don't want to be that person, but I have these, I'm seeing these things, and I just wanted to know if it's what you're seeing too. And she said, "Tell me what you're seeing." I said, "I see a ceremony. I see a big, huge a wedding ceremony, and all people showing up from all over." And she almost started crying, and she was kind of like her face was really white, and her friends were like, "Oh my gosh!" And she had been having a past life experience there too, which is so cool because that means we've been maybe together, right? In a past life. And she said that she remembers being in she was going to be in a wedding that she didn't want to be in. She had to marry this royalty figure, and she didn't want to. And I think that that's so for a minute I was like, am I tapping into her stuff or am I tapping into mine? And definitely I was tapping into mine, but I was there the same time she was because my story was a little different. I was very much in love. I was very, very young. I was waiting for my romance, or my husband or my boyfriend to come back from wherever he was to this big ceremony. And when he got there, I was so excited and I was extremely happy. I just remember feeling so happy. And we were there for this ceremony. And then something big happened. And I think it was whatever part of Sarah's journey was. And then they had to leave. And for some reason, my boyfriend or husband had to leave. And I think it's because of what Sarah saw in hers. And Sarah saw in hers that, she did not want to go through with this. With this wedding. So she did something pretty extreme, and that probably caused a ruckus. And anyways, so what I remember seeing is who I was involved with had to leave, and he never came back. He didn't I think he was killed. And I remember so I kind of saw myself I remember seeing the chapel. When I was in the chapel, I felt like I had been in the chapel before. And then I remember feeling this immense sorrow and seeing that I was sad. Like I went from being extremely happy to extremely sad. And not I had seen myself jump off the cliffside or falling off the cliffside. And so I passed pretty young in this lifetime. And so it was just kind of amazing. And it was just kind of a great experience. And it just, and I just want to explain to you that you can have these experiences too, not just because I'm a medium. You can meditate to have these experiences. You can go in past life regressions to have these experiences. And not every my biggest takeaway from this is one that I was with these people in another life. We might not have been best friends, but we're not best friends in this lifetime, right? And but we knew each other in another lifetime and we crossed paths again, which I feel is extremely important. I feel like we do that people throughout our lives. We've crossed paths with them past in past lives and paths with them in past lives. And I think that that's extremely beautiful and extremely just beautiful. And it makes me wonder, like everyone that I meet, have I been in another life with them or another lifetime before? And it kind of makes me wonder too if this male that I had this relationship with, if I was was I in another lifetime or is he in my life now? because we all play different parts of a different story every time we have a different lifetime experience. So I think it's great. I think past life regressions and remembering past lives is an amazing thing. I think that my humble opinion is that I think that we can go back into and see our past lives. But I think the ones that we particularly get to see through a reader or through the Akashic records or through meditation are the ones that affect us in this lifetime, because we have hundreds of lives that we've reincarnated in. And I feel like the ones that we get to see are the ones that affect this lifetime. So my husband had a past life experience, and in it, he was told that he died as a sailor, which was, and he died at sea, which was crazy because then I'm thinking, was he at sea? Was he the guy that I sent, like that I sent off, and he died at sea? But he has a real fear of the ocean in this lifetime. And now we know it's because in a past lifetime he drowned. And so I thought that was really cool to kind of see that. And now he knows the why. And since it helped him in this lifetime, he does go to the ocean. He went into the water in Hawaii. And when we went to North Carolina, he went into the water. So he knows now why he had that fear. And so that really helped him conquer that fear. And I feel like when we look into past lives, it helps us with what's going on in this lifetime now. That's why a lot of times when you remember some past lives, you remember you remember that were female or male, whatever you are in this lifetime, because some of the struggles that you had in other lifetimes belong to were because of your gender. And so you run into some of those in the past lives when you couldn't get past those issues. You have them here, so to see if you can get past them here. And some of them are gender issues. And so I keep saying and I'm trying not to. I just think, and also too, I had a past life reading done in Sedona once when I was with some friends, and the reader told me that I was a sage to a king. And in that lifetime, I helped the king destroy his village. And I got rid of a lot of people. I think the whole village died. And I was also told that me being a medium, there was a cool experience about that too, because in Sedona, the medium, she told me, "You're a medium." And it was almost like I got the slip to be a medium. I wasn't practicing yet. I did have a few clients, but it was the coolest thing ever because it was almost like spirit was saying, "Yes, you're a medium. It's okay to do what you do." And so she also told me that I helped this king conquer this village. And now during my readings, I'm helping the people that I killed in this village. I'm helping, I'm returning the karma. I'm now helping them progress in this life because I took their lives with my powers in a past life. And now I'm making up for that. And the cool thing is I wanted to know if that was true because I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's a lot." And that's a lot. Like that's a lot of burden to carry. Like I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So I went to a retreat that was also, I think, in St. George, and they had a deck of past lives deck cards. And I pulled it and I said, "Okay, I want validation that maybe that reading was accurate." And every single card I pulled was accurate to that reading. It was in the woods. It was a sage. I died by being killed by an army. It was crazy. And so, I mean, it's kind of fun. Like, is it true? I got validated that it was, and I kind of seen that it was, but you know what? It's just kind of fun. But I really feel like too, it's helped me in this lifetime. That experience of knowing that past lifetime has helped me in this lifetime because mediumship is no joke. It's hard. It's not for the weak of heart. And it can get really, I mean, I'm so grateful and so blessed. But there's just so much responsibility that goes with it. And sometimes I do get a little overwhelmed, and sometimes I do question whether or not I'm doing the right thing because, if you guys have been following me this last year, you know that lots of people have come out and told me I've gotten lots of ideas and people that are saying what I do is evil. And even though I know in my heart it's not, I still question it. Like I don't want to harm anybody. All I want to do is help. And so when I got that reading, it helped me realize that I am doing this because I'm repaying a debt, really. I'm repaying the karma that it's my purpose, it's my duty to help these people now because in some way in that past life I may have hurt them. And that brings on a different there's a lot of responsibility and a lot of pressure, but at the same time it's beautiful. It's beautiful that I can continue and I have no intentions of quitting. In fact, I was thinking the other day when I was like, "Do I really want to do this podcast?" I remember talking to my my counselor the other day, and she was like, "Are you really like honestly, if you had to, would you really quit?" And I was like, "No, I never really would quit." It's just sometimes there's a lot of pressure with whatever, and I'm not saying I'm going anywhere. I'm not. It's just that there's a lot of pressure to this job, a lot, and there's a lot of pressure to a lot of jobs though. So I'm not any by any means, you know, I don't know what I'm saying. It's just I feel like it's a big responsibility, and I'm sometimes, um, responsible for people, and what I tell them weighs on them. I could tell somebody that, one thing, and they could totally turn it into something else, and there's just a lot of responsibility in that. But I just have to remember too that now I'm getting clear off tangent, but whatever I put out there, how they take it is kind of their own thing. But I just believe that when we see our past lives and we experience past lives in this lifetime, they're the past lives that affect us now and will help us now. Because there's no sense of dreading up the past if it's not going to help. And there's no sense of dreading up the past if we're going to dwell on it. And that's kind of what the card was about this week. Carrie Connect's card was about this week anyways, is the past is the past. So you need to look forward. So it's kind of ironic that I'm doing a past live regression thing, but sometimes it's okay to look at your past lives because sometimes they do help you move forward. Just like my husband, it helped him move forward with this water thing that he had to struggle with. And it helps me move forward knowing that there's a bigger purpose to what I'm doing. I'm actually repaying the spirits maybe and the people that maybe, maybe it's not the people I'm helping, but the spirits that are on the other side. Maybe it was them that I harmed at one time. So that really helps and that really puts things into perspective. And if you want to experience past life, I am not doing a past life reading. I'm not doing Akashic Records right now. I may down the road, but I'm not doing it right now. I've got way too much going on that I'm trying to put out for this year. But the best way to do it, honestly, is to do a guided meditation of past lives or a meditation of some sort. You can tap into your own stuff. You can also go to an Akashic Records reader, but just make sure they have a good, like, look at their reviews, look at things on, I mean, look and see that someone you've trusted has gone to them. Just make sure that they're legitimate and, um, and really that you take something from that reading because it's fun to see some of the stuff that you go through, but really the lives that you really need to pay attention to are the ones that are affecting your life now. So that's my take on it because honestly, we've all had lots of different past lives and we've all been somebody famous. We've all been somebody mean or bad. We've all been somebody nice. We've all been mothers. We've all been fathers. We've all been sisters and brothers. We've played every part. We want to experience all of it we can on earth. And so we've done all the things. So that's why it's really important that you realize that you're not superior to anybody and you're not inferior to anybody. And when people do your Akashic Record readings or your past life readings and they tell you that you were someone super important, that's great. But everybody was. Everybody had their time. Everybody had their 10 minutes of fame. You aren't the only one. And I'm not saying you're not special because you are, but we all are gifts in the sight of God. We all are the same. We all are nobody, some of us might be further ahead in our spiritual journey than others, but that doesn't make us significantly better. That's when ego starts to play. That's when, I'm not gifted. I just know how to use the gift I've gotten. And you can do the same thing that I do. You can check into your past lives. You can check your Akashic Records. You can do mediumship readings. You just have to know how to do it. And so that's kind of where we're at. I strongly recommend if you're interested in past lives, um, you know, I will probably be maybe doing some of them sometimes. I might do a special where I'm going to do some for 1 month, not right in the current months, maybe more in the summer or the end of the year. And if I do that, you can find that anytime I do anything like that, you can find it on my emails. So if you are not part of my emails, you need to go to carimugz.com and get signed up because my email people are the first people who know everything that I'm doing, and by the time they reach social media, they're pretty much already full. And so, and I'm not saying that egotistically, I'm super, super grateful for that. But I just, I just created a mimosa with a medium, and on Monday, and it was sold out in 2 hours because the people on my list, my got all of the notifications first, and it sold out then. So I don't even put it on social media. I do have a gallery coming up March 28th. And I think as the time that this posts, I think there's like maybe 10 spots left. And I will put the notes below. But um yeah, so just if you're not on my email list, go get on that for all. 'Cause I do have some really cool stuff coming up. But back to the Scotland thing, I just want to go over some of the notes that I kind of wrote down just because I can now because I have a little setup where I can see my notes. And back before, I used to think that I used to thought that I had to be perfect. Like it had to be perfect, and it doesn't. I watch all these podcasts and they're not perfect, and I'm not going to spend the time. I'm just telling you right now. I'm not going to spend the time um editing these. If something happens on them, that happens on them, and you guys get to watch or hear it, and that's just the way it is because I don't have time. Not that I don't love you guys, but I just think that you accept me for who I am. So, um, you may not remember your past life, but your body will. You'll just know. You'll feel it. You guys, I promise. You'll just feel it. And then you'll go home that night and you'll be like, was that just me? Did I feel off? But that's what intuition is, right? We always question our intuition. So it's always like that. We tap into something or feel something and then we go, was that just me? Um, oh, and I love this. Scotland, I remember thinking this. Scotland didn't show me who I was. It reminded me of who I've always been. So when you have past life regressions or you go through something like that, it reminds you of your power. It reminds you that your soul is eternal. It reminds you that you are beautiful and godly made. And it helps you step into your power and to remember your power and to remember who you are. So that was what was cool for me is my soul and my spirit. My soul's my higher self, and there's a bigger purpose. And I love I love who I'm becoming. As Cari Mugz, that's great, but I also love all the other people that I was too, and my soul remembers them. And that's the beauty of it, is you remember who you are. I kind of sound like Mufasa on Lion King, but you remember who you are, and I think that that's so great. It's like coming home. It's like knowing that there's a bigger piece of everything. It's a bigger part of everything, and the light inside you belongs to a bigger thing and a bigger purpose. Um, so yeah, if you have any questions about past lives, you can DM me. You can message me. I think it's a great experience. And if you are struggling with something in your life right now, or you're struggling with somebody in your life right now, it could very well be that you had past karma with them or in a past life, or you had issues with them. And it could be anybody. It could be a romantic person. It could be child, it could be a parent, anybody, and you could have karma with them. So sometimes it's good to know those things so you can move forward in this life. It's good to know that maybe in a past life they were you were the alcoholic and you were the parent instead of the other way around, and now it's just a karma thing. Most of the time our past lives will bring us back to these lives to re-experience something or try and get through something that we didn't in a past life. And so that's kind of you know, it's not a test. It's just an experience. That's the one thing I want to get through to you guys is you're not being tested in this lifetime. You're just experiencing. And so be gentle to yourself and give yourself some grace. And I think there should be lots of past lives meditations on YouTube. And I think that is one thing I can do. I might not do the Akashic record readings, but I will try and make a past life meditation because I'm making quite a few things like that, and I will try and do it. I'm not saying it's going to be done tomorrow or even this month, but I will put that on the list as a past life meditation so you can kind of tap into some of those past lives, or an Akashic records reading, an Akashic records meditation so you can kind of tap into that. So I am so glad you guys came. I'm welcome. I'm just so glad that you're here and we're back, and it feels good to be back. And I'm excited. I'm excited for what's next. The next series to this episode, to this mini series, is going to be about a paranormal experience I had in Scotland, which was way cool too. So make sure you tune in for that next week. But I do want to kind of talk about this mysterious adventure tours that I went on. It's a great group. It's awesome. And in June, I will be going to a river cruise with them from Paris to Rhone and on the Rhone River. And we'll be in Paris a few days and then we'll be on this river. And it's going to be same thing, paranormal stuff, spiritual stuff. They really focus on some of the paranormal stuff some of the stuff that other tour people or you might not know about paranormal stuff. And I know we're going to go with a few paranormal investigators that are awesome. I will be the only medium on this trip, and I'll be doing galleries and I'll be doing readings. And I know they're going to be doing lots of paranormal investigations. And these things aren't scary. And I'm going to explain that on my next episode. You think of paranormal, you think of scary, you think of evil, and it's not. I learned on this Scotland trip that it's not like that. It's sacred, and people just want to tell their stories. And you can feel scared, but they're not. A lot of times, and the experience is different for everybody. And I'm not saying everyone is not scary, but this wasn't scary. It was so interesting, and it opened my eyes to bigger things. And so, if you want to know, if you want the link to that, it will be down in the show notes. I put that there. Um, y- uh, in YouTube, I don't know if you can click on the show notes, but on any podcast place, they will have the show notes down below. And I will have I'll have my website where you can sign up for my email notifications. And I will also have all of my events down there that you can link on. And I will also have all my social media accounts that you can go watch this on or listen to it on. And I will also have the river to Paris to Rhone cruise on there that you can go. I know it's getting kind of full, but I think there's still spots open. And if there's any spots open in my gallery by the time I post this, I will also post the link to that. It's March 28th at 3 o'clock. I'll post that there too. And because the mimosa with medium got so booked out so fast, I probably will usually I do them every other month, but I might do it sooner. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your support. I couldn't do any of this without you. And I just want you to know I am so grateful for you. You don't even know. I know that everything I do, I'm here because of you. I do this because of you. I have the following I do because of you. And I'm so grateful for it. And I love you guys so much. And I will see you next week.